the fear, the horror. The hell is this guy? Come after me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with. I don't give a damn.
I don't give a damn. Bring it. Bring it on, Mr. President. Well, the person who's trying to make the most political hay out of the situation is, of course, failed California Governor Gavin Newsom. So Californians, some of them tried to recall him just a couple of years ago. It failed because California has apparently chosen the form of its destructor, and it is this weirdly Botoxed Ken doll of a governor. Here he was yesterday doing the "Where's your decency, Mr. President?" Again, this line is getting real old. The "Have you no decency" line that goes all the way back to the McCarthy era. Have you no decency? Have you no decency, Governor? You've now presided over the burning down of half your state, the uptick in criminality, the lower economic growth, the higher taxes, and now illegal immigration riots in LA, and you're questioning the president's decency?
I mean, where's your decency, Mr. President? Stop. Rescind this order. It's illegal and unconstitutional. And I said it, I'll say it again, it's immoral. You're creating the conditions that you claim you're solving, and you're not. And you're putting real people's lives at risk. This is a serious moment, and it requires serious leadership. And it's time for you to be a commander-in-chief of the United States of America.
He's so awful. Gavin Newsom's so awful. My favorite thing about this clip, for those who can't see it, is that he breaks the fourth wall. So typically when you're doing an interview, you speak to the person who's interviewing you. You don't kind of swivel into camera and start speaking directly into camera. That's what he does during an interview. He's speaking with the reporter, and then he just swivels right into the camera and starts speaking with deliberate hand motions into the camera, because that is a dude who desperately wants to be president of the United States. And he's putting his focus where it ought to be. He says that the state of California is suing President Trump. Yes, that's right. It's time for California to sue the president for enforcing federal law and providing for their National Guard forces in a support role. Quote, "New, we are suing Donald Trump. This is a manufactured crisis. He is creating fear and terror to take over a state militia and violate the U.S. Constitution." He doesn't. That's not a violation of the U.S. Constitution. He has the power to do what he is doing. The illegal order he signed could allow him to send the military into any state he wishes. Well, I mean, no, there would have to be some violent unrest. There would presumably have to be some basis for him to invoke Title X. Every governor, red or blue, should reject this outrageous overreach. There's a lot of hyperbole out there. This isn't that. This is an unmistakable step toward authoritarianism that threatens the foundation of our republic. We cannot let it stand. Yes, nothing says authoritarianism quite like activating the National Guard to shut down people who are burning Waymo cars while flying Mexican flags on top of them. Clearly, that's a threat to democracy. What we really need is a more lawless country. Well, Tom Homan, the border czar, he said, listen, Gavin Newsom hasn't violated the law yet, but if Gavin Newsom actually violates the law by, say, facilitating illegal immigration, then sure, we'll arrest him.
They got the right to protest, but they can't cross that line. They can't impede our enforcement efforts. They can't put hands on our officers. They can't knowingly harbor and conceal illegal aliens from us. I said, so if they cross that line, they're going to be prosecuted. And the question was, well, how about Mayor Bass and Governor Newsom? What if they cross that line? I says, they'll be prosecuted too. Haven't they said for the last 4 years, no one's above the law? They cross the line, we'll seek prosecution.
Okay, well, Gavin Newsom was very upset about this. First of all, President Trump, never one to miss an opportunity to troll, decided to troll Gavin Newsom. So he said, yeah, sure. I mean, if Tom wants to arrest Newsom, I'm all for it. Let's arrest him. Gavin Newsom is not being arrested. Okay, that's silly. He's not going to be arrested. That's ridiculous. This is all trollery. Gavin Newsom is trolling Trump. Trump is trolling Newsom. Homan is trolling Newsom. All of this could have been avoided if, for decades, we'd actually enforced our immigration laws. I know. What a crazy idea. Here's President Trump saying, well, if Tom wants to arrest him, maybe we should. Why not?
Gavin Newsom he's daring Tom Homan to come and arrest him. Should he do it? I would do it if I were Tom. I think it's great. Gavin likes the publicity, but I think it would be a great thing. He's done a terrible job. Look, I like Gavin Newsom. He's a nice guy, but he's grossly incompetent. Everybody knows. All you have to do is look at the little railroad he's building. It's about 100 times over budget. We're putting a flagpole over there. Under budget. I always do under budget.
Okay, then Trump was asked at a later press conference, why would you arrest him? Like, on what grounds? And Trollmaster going to troll.
I think his primary primary crime is running for governor because he's done such a bad job. What he's done to that state is like what Biden did to this country. And that's pretty bad.
Okay, Gavin Newsom, for his part, responded by saying, fine, arrest me, let's go. I'm like the Rosa Parks of middle-aged white people. Here we go.
The fear, the horror. The hell is this guy?
God,
Come
he's so
after me,
terrible.
arrest me. Let's just get it over with. Tough guy. You know, I don't give a damn.
He is the worst actor. Truly a horrifyingly bad actor. I mean, my dude, you make Tommy Wiseau look like Laurence Olivier. That is amazing stuff right there. I'm sorry, I need to play it again because I'm just enjoying the acting too much. And I like it. It's John Lovitz acting. He's an actor. Here we go. Act it, Gavin. We need emotion. We need emotion with hand motions. I mean, that's what we need. A dramatic reading of your imminent arrest. Go, Gavin, go.
The fear, the horror. The hell is this guy? Come after me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with.
Who the
Tough
hell
guy.
is this? Oh my.
You know, I don't give a damn.
I don't give a damn. Bring it. Bring it on, Mr. I'm sorry. Well, everything is a sick joke. Everything. That guy's the governor of the largest and most populous state in the United States. Like, really, wow. Gavin Newsom. What a hero. What a hero he is. Anti-Semitism is obviously on the rise around the world. Sadly, that's happening in the United States as well. Jewish schools and synagogues are being threatened. I can tell you on a personal level, the amount of money that my synagogue and my kids' school has to spend on security is extraordinary. Jewish Americans targeted on the streets of Colorado and DC. It's something many of us hoped we would never see again in our lifetime. Well, this is a good moment to take a stand. That's why I want to tell you about the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, or IFCJ. They're on the front lines, providing real help where it's needed most. They're giving food and shelter to Jewish families under threat, building bomb shelters for children, helping survivors rebuild their lives. They don't just respond to crises, they work every day to prevent it. IFCJ is doing an amazing amount in Israel. There's still a bunch of people who are displaced in Israel. There are a lot of people up in the north, actually, like where the Druze are in Syria. IFCJ has been giving aid to Syrian Druze, not just Israeli Jews. To learn more about the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews and their life-saving work in Israel and around the world, go to benforthefellowship.org. That's benforthefellowship.org. Thank you, and God bless. Stephen Miller points out on X, quote, California is the largest sanctuary state in America. What does that mean? The governor has ordered every single police department and sheriff's office to shield criminal illegal aliens from removal. In a normal state, when an illegal alien is arrested, they're run through a federal database. If it hits that they are illegal or deportable, ICE asks the police or sheriffs to turn them over to ICE when their incarceration is complete. In California, when ICE lodges this detainer, it is refused, and the criminal alien is released back onto the street to endlessly reoffend. California has more criminal aliens than any other state in the United States by far, and each and every one of them can victimize Americans freely knowing they will never be turned over by the authorities to ICE. He is not wrong about that. He is not wrong about that. But again, for the Democrats, this is all about the conflict with Trump. Never enforce immigration law. And when they say that it's authoritarian, again, for the federal, remember, they're not just saying it's authoritarian for the National Guard to be activated in order to quell violence in the streets. They're saying it's authoritarian for Trump to just enforce the law, to just enforce it. That itself is authoritarian. It's amazing. Now, some Democrats are smart enough to realize that this is a losing political battle, that actually it turns out Americans are not fond of what is going on in Los Angeles and what has been going on for decades. So some Democrats are realizing that this might all be a mistake. Chris Murphy, Democrat from Connecticut, who for some reason has presidential aspirations, you can't explain to me why. He says, you know what? We need to stop focusing on this immigration thing now. This is a loser. He is right. That is correct. He says, let's focus on the big, beautiful bill. Okay, good luck, my dude.
And so I do also think he's probably doing everything he can to try to get the entire political world to be talking about anything other than a piece of legislation that's going to fundamentally change this country. So, yeah, we have to point out the danger of what he's proposing to do in Los Angeles while also keeping our eye on the ball, which is a bill that's going to transform our economy and ruin a lot of lives.
Okay, so yeah, that he's going to try and get away from the immigration talk because he understands it's a loser. Perhaps the only intelligent Democrat in the United States Senate at this point is John Fetterman, you know, the one who had a stroke. He tweeted out, quote, I unapologetically stand for free speech, peaceful demonstrations, and immigration. But this is not that. This is anarchy and true chaos. My party loses the moral high ground when we refuse to condemn setting cars on fire, destroying buildings, and assaulting law enforcement. Why is that so hard for any of the Democrats? Why? Why? I mean, honestly, if Gavin Newsom wanted to pants President Trump, all he would have to do is help them effectuate the federal immigration law. That's all he would have to do. And say, listen, we were happy to help. President Trump activated the National Guard for no reason because we were happy to help. But he's not doing that because he's not happy to help. Meanwhile, the media doing their part as the Democratic apparatchiks that they are. Jon Stewart was out there making the claim that the ICE raids lit the fuse because everything's been hunky-dory in LA until now.
So now, predictably, these non-targeted, much broader deportation efforts in cities that feel very connected to the immigrant population is a tinderbox, and Trump happily lights the fuse. Peaceful protesters mixed with anarchists and vandals, pushed back by horseback and tear gas. Nothing could survive the onslaught except the attitude of teenagers. You, Dad! I mean, cops! Home Depot. From the worst of the worst to a f***ing Home Depot? Geez, ICE, if you need assistance in arresting people, those guys are looking for work, so. It's an explosive situation on the cusp of federalism versus states' rights, border control versus due process, terrifyingly militarized sweeps versus hardworking people in local communities, the United States Marines versus the Postmates guy who brought you an egg sandwich.
Okay, so again, this sort of false bind. You don't understand. Illegal immigrants are all wonderful people. Here's the thing. How would we know? That is Stephen Miller's point. Because when people are arrested in California, he is correct. ICE does not work with the local authorities in California because of Gavin Newsom. Because of Gavin Newsom. Put aside all of the draw on public services represented by mass illegal immigration. Put aside the cultural problems, the cultural clashes that have occurred thanks to the importation of large numbers of millions of migrants from cultures that aren't necessarily in consonance with sort of Anglo-American values traditionally. And again, people can obviously join into Anglo-American values, but if you're coming from a culture that generally doesn't like those things and doesn't care about those things, that's going to have some cultural impact, obviously. This is the part where everybody in the media goes, he said Anglo-American. Yeah, Barack Obama used that term too. Go look it up. Anyway, the bizarre notion that somehow the federal government does not have the capacity to enforce the law. Imagine if a bunch of red states simply said that they were not going to cooperate with federal law enforcement on, for example, paying taxes. They simply were going to obstruct it, not even not cooperate, obstruct it. How do you think Democrats would treat that? Well, badly? Well, that's all for now, folks. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts down below. Be sure to check out all of the other great content on my channel. I'll see you here next time.